We are going to be diving into a research paper that was done this year that I think is going to apply to some of you on this channel. And if it doesn't apply to you, but you know somebody that's taking this prescribed medication, I'd love for you to share this with them. All right, there is a certain prescription medication that has been shown in the 2025 paper in Cell that it literally reduces your glymphatic clearance. Okay, before I tell you what the drug is, let's talk about glymphatic clearance for a quick second so that you know what the heck I'm talking about. Glymphatic clearance, the glymphatic system is the lymphatic system of our brain, okay? So if you're taking a drug that is reducing your brain's ability to remove the waste products by 30%, that's a big deal. Now, listen to me very carefully. I am not telling you if you take this medication to stop. I am not telling you that. I am simply sharing this information because I'm going to share with you if I were taking this medication, this is exactly what I would do to help support my glymphatic system's ability to drain. It is that important. If our brain is holding on to toxins, our brain is literally breaking down because toxins drive inflammation. Inflammation breaks down tissue. Not good. Not at all something that I want to sign up for. I want to be that sharpest pencil in the box well into my 90s, maybe even hundreds. I want to cognitively be 100% there. And physically, but I don't want to end up like my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. So let's talk about what drug it is because it is important to know. And like I said, we're going to talk about what it means and then what to do. So by no means is this, this really is just for educational purposes. I want you to know what we're finding out and how it's affecting the lymphatic system. I love that they're doing more research on the lymphatic system because I truly believe the lymphatic system is one of the missing components to a lot of individuals' treatment plans when they have chronic conditions, symptoms, or even diseases. So that prescription medication that reduces your brain's ability to remove toxic waste is Ambien. If you take Ambien, which is a sleep med, it's supposed to help you sleep. It reduces your brain's ability to remove toxins. And that makes sense. And why that makes sense, taking a sleep aid, right, is supposed to help us sleep. Our brain only drains at night while we sleep, specifically during deep sleep. So we have different cycles of sleep. We have deep, we have light, and we have REM. When we're in deep sleep, what happens is we have this pumping happening within our brain. During a healthy deep sleep, norepinephrine pulses every 50 seconds, roughly. And what this does is this ultimately drives blood vessel contraction. So that contraction is important. It's like vasomotion. And this motion ultimately is pushing the cerebral spinal fluid through the brain. This is really like the dishwasher of your brain. So what research found with zolpidem or Ambien is that medication flattened those norepinephrine pulses, okay? So when norepinephrine became flattened, it ultimately reduced the glymphatic's ability to clear by that 30%. So what that's telling us is that specific sleep aid, and it's not every single sleep aid on the market, but that specific sleep aid is affecting deep sleep. So if we're affecting deep sleep, we are going to ultimately reduce our brain's ability to clear toxins from the day before. Now, what concerns me about this is if we are not clearing waste products from our brain, we can potentially, and this is potentially, we don't have the studies to back this up just yet, but I do believe we're going to start to see this. We can potentially see an increase in dementia, Alzheimer's, MS, and Parkinson's. Now, why do I say that? Well, because all four of those are specifically linked to brain. And brain is super important for memory, cognition, just overall function, right? These four have already been linked to a compromised lymphatic system. So meaning they're now associating at least part of these conditions to the brain's inability to clear waste products appropriately. In other words, that means that the glymphatic system is not functioning properly. So I wonder if we're going to see an uprise or an uptake in individuals who have been taking Ambien for an extended period of time, are we going to see an uprise or an increase in the number of individuals that are experiencing one of those 4 conditions? I don't know, but based on this initial research, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Now, if you're taking this medication, like, I'm not telling you to stop. What I'm going to tell you though is if I was on this medication, this is exactly what I would be doing before bed to help increase my brain's ability to drain. All right. So if we have a decrease by roughly 30% because of the reduction in the norepinephrine being pulsed while we sleep in deep sleep, what I want to do is I want to ensure that my glymphatic system has every possibility to drain. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my lymph nodes before I go to bed. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to be doing somewhere between 20 to 40 pumps of my termini, my tonsillar nodes, my pre and post auricular nodes, and my occipital nodes. I'm going to be focusing on those, and then I'm going to finish by clearing my termini. Now, why am I focusing on those 4 specific nodes is because those are the 4 major lymph nodes that drain our head and neck. The reason I come back to my termini is because the termini is where all of our lymphatic fluid drains. So if this is congested, there's nowhere for fluid to move. So imagine this, if we have congestion here, at our ears or the base of our skull, where is the fluid from our brain going to drain? It's not going to drain as efficiently. I'm not saying it's not draining at all, but it's not going to drain as efficiently. So I want to make sure that those nodes are free and clear as best as I can. And it's going to take some time, especially if you have congestion there. If you're somebody that has sinus congestion, if you wake up with puffy eyes, if you have a double chin, if you have headaches, if you have allergies, these are some of the signs that there's likely some lymphatic congestion happening in the head. So I 100% would be clearing those nodes before I go to sleep. The next thing that I would be doing is I would be stretching out my muscles and making sure that my muscles are not super tight. Tight muscles are going to constrict lymphatic drainage. So this is just good advice for anybody. It doesn't matter whether or not you're taking Ambien. This is a great nighttime routine, and this is something that I do. I'm not on Ambien, but this is something that I do so that I don't wake up as puffy in the morning, especially since I have, a 14-month-old that's teething and he's not quite sleeping through the night, which means I'm getting broken sleep cycles, and that broken sleep cycles affects brain's drainage as well. So I'm definitely taking my own advice right now and incorporating this. So outside of the lymph nodes and the stretching, one other thing that has been shown to help with the ability to fall asleep is putting cold directly on your forehead right before bedtime. That cold, and I use my ice wands. I'll put a link down below. But those ice wands, what they do is they're nice and cold stainless steel. You keep them in the freezer. And I just do this nice relaxing massage. I even go down the sides of my neck, getting the vagal nerve. But ultimately, the whole purpose behind this is to calm and shift me into a rest, digest, and drain state so that when I go to sleep, I actually have an easier time falling asleep once I have the cold on me. And there's some good, interesting research coming out. And if that's something you guys would like me to dive into a little bit deeper, let me know. But the cold helps us get into sleep faster. And so that could be something that might be beneficial for you to give a shot. So if you are somebody that is on Ambien, I highly recommend giving these couple things a try and see what happens. Again, not telling you not to take it. I'm giving you some additional things to help support the drainage because sleep is super duper important. And so we got to make sure that you're sleeping, but we also have to make sure that your brain is capable of draining. So give those a try. And I'd love it if you came back and let me know, how did it go? How does it feel? Did you notice a difference? Are you noticing a change when you wake up in the morning? I would absolutely love to hear that type of feedback if you guys give it a try. Thanks for being here and happy draining.